The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Cohen, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, today on our calendar we've got about 10 bills dealing with a very serious issue in America. Opioid, heroin. This is an awful problem we have in our nation. There's more and more use of opioids and heroin and deaths resulting from it than in any time that I can recall in the past. I've had a young friend a few years back died of a heroin overdose. I've known of other promising young people in Memphis who've died of heroin overdoses. This is a problem that's been all over the country, but predominantly in the Northeast and predominantly in Caucasian areas. And it's become an issue, as it should, of importance. But none of the bills that we're going to deal with today, all of which are good and all of which I'll support, deal with the real problem. And that is the recognition in our country that we treat all drugs as a law enforcement problem, a criminal problem, and not as a health problem. And that we treat most all drugs on the same level and give law enforcement the same incentives to arrest dealers and or users for any drug and not encourage them and give them reasons besides public safety to emphasize their enforcement on opioids and heroin. In our drug schedules, which we have in our country that lay out the order in which we think drugs are the most serious, Schedule 1 is at the top. And in that classification is heroin, LSD, ecstasy, and marijuana. I ask you each not to answer reflexively which of those four don't fit. Marijuana does not fit. Our laws should show that heroin is a serious problem and that marijuana is not as serious a problem, that users should be dealt with in ways that don't put them in jail, don't, in the case of marijuana possession, cause them to lose scholarship opportunities, housing opportunities in federal facilities, or jobs later on. We also shouldn't have law enforcement, through asset forfeiture, get monies from people they arrest to fund their activities by making arrests and having it be presumed in law that monies and or properties that are involved in the transactions of those drug deals are involved, and that the law enforcement gets to keep those items. It gives law enforcement a reason to go after marijuana, which is easier to find and make money than heroin. We need to study marijuana to see what its medical uses are, and we don't need to use it to incarcerate and cripple for the future for jobs young people. We need to encourage young people not to do any drugs at all, not to do alcohol, not to smoke cigarettes, and that take their time as youth, to be young, to learn, to fill their minds with knowledge for a better life later. But if as a youth or as an adult they should use an illegal substance, they should be dealt with as having a problem and not be given a scarlet letter that stays with them the rest of their lives. So my work has been and will continue to be to try to our drug laws to see that the scheduling is smarter, that heroins and opioids continue to be at the top, and that marijuana is not in that listing, and to do things that encourage law enforcement to arrest people that are dealing in, selling heroin and opioids and causing death and causing people to be addicted to the point to where they will commit crime to secure monies to keep their habit going, and not to have equal incentives to go after marijuana that does none of those things. I yield back the balance of my time.